If you're a commission salon or spa owner working nonstop, barely paying yourself, and wondering how in the heck this became your life, you need a serious upgrade. Welcome to the station. Hey, welcome back to the station. This is the podcast for salon and spa owners who are done feeling like they are carrying it all and ready to build a business that actually supports them. I'm Bree, founder of the Beauty Biz Agency, and every week we are diving into the real stuff. I'm talking leadership, systems, boundaries, growth, and how to run a business that works with you, not against you. I am super excited for today because we are going to be doing something just a little bit different. One of the biggest questions that we get from salon and spa owners all over the country is, when is it time to hire a manager? And if I do, what exactly are they responsible for? And how do they really help me grow my business? So instead of me just giving you the answers from an owner's perspective, we are going to flip the script. Today, we're bringing on an incredible salon manager who lives this work every single day. She's going to walk us through what the role actually looks like, what kind of support she needs from her owner, and how having a strong leadership structure can completely change the way that your business runs. She is right in the thick of it, coaching the team, handling that chaos that we all know lives there, backing the owner's vision, and really just keeping everything moving behind the scenes. So whether you are already in that position to where you've hired your manager or you're just thinking about it, this episode is going to give you a real honest look at what that role is, what it's not, and how it can change the game in your studio. Now, before we jump in too quickly, I just want to share a quick story that fits today's conversation. One of our BBA owners came to us after finally hiring her first manager, but she kind of quickly realized that just handing off tasks wasn't going to be enough. Her new manager felt really stuck because there were no systems to run. There were no clear responsibilities. There was no real authority so that she could actually lead the team. Inside the program, we helped her define exactly what the manager's role should be. We set up clear expectations. We did weekly check-ins and got a real accountability kind of task going so her manager knew exactly what success was supposed to look like. Fast forward a few months, the owner now has her time back to focus on business growth and strategy while her manager runs the daily operations, handles issues before they reach the owner, which is a dream for us owners out there, and keeps the team on track and aligned. She said, I finally feel like the CEO, not the babysitter anymore, and my manager knows exactly what she is supposed to do, and she feels supported. That, my friends, is the power of building real leadership structure and not just handing someone a title, crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. All right, let's dive in. Today, we are joined by someone who brings not just experience, but heart, wisdom, and leadership integrity into this conversation. Diane is a salon manager with over 30 years of experience in the beauty industry, and she currently leads the team at Ohana Salon in Arizona. She works hand in hand with the owner, whom I adore, to keep the systems tight, the team aligned, and the culture strong. Diane, welcome to the station.
Good morning. Thank you.
Absolutely. I am so glad that you're here. Thank you really for just being willing to share what this role really looks like behind the scenes. A lot of people aren't willing to do that, so I truly appreciate it. I really just want to kind of start from the top. So tell me, what does a typical day look like for you as a salon manager? And what do people often not realize that they're handling or that you're handling behind the scenes?
Typical day starts with gratitude, of course. But going into the business, before I even get there, I'm looking at our books, seeing what's happened during the night, because we do have online booking. So I check that first and foremost. My team knows I'm up. I'm an early riser, so I may start getting texts from them at 5 in the morning if something has happened. I can handle that directly from home before I even get on the road. Once we get settled and get into the morning, it's opening up the salon, it's starting the coffee, starting the tea, waiting for the team to get there, looking at the guests, looking at all the messages that came in. They can text the salon, they call the salon, email the salon. So all those things are checked first thing in the morning. Laundry. Oh my God, there's always laundry. to start. But as the team arrives, we have a structure now where we, at 9:45, we are doing huddles in the morning and just doing a snapshot of the day, basically addressing, this is what we need to look out for today. We have the books are full. Who's double booked? Who's not double booked? Who's available to help? And that we have a culture of team environment. So if they have open time, it's not so much as going and getting on your phone and getting in behind the, break room or wherever they may be. And it's looking after the team and taking care of the guests. They have just as strong role as developing relationships with all the guests that come through the door. So any guest that comes through the door belongs to all of us. It's not a oh, that's my client type of environment. It belongs to everyone, and to create the experience. So from the front of the house to the back of the house, the experience is what it's all about. So that's the day. And then as trouble arises, roads are closed, accidents happen, clients run late. We quickly see how we're going to handle it, try never to turn anybody away, and just get the work done. And at the same time, coaching them with grace when those times get difficult, and just keeping an eye out for everything, um, from making hot towels, keeping laundry going. We do have assistants, but if they're tied up assisting the stylist, then I'm behind the scenes doing all that weird stuff that they would normally be doing to keep us running smoothly.
That's a lot right there. And I think it's so important because you listed, thing after thing after thing after thing that an owner would normally be responsible for, along with growing the business and strategy and all of the other things that we have to do. So, in that answer alone, you proved that managers hold their worth tremendously, right? Just tremendously.
Right.
How This is a question that I have that I often get from people, and I would like to hear how you respond to it. But how do you balance being approachable and supportive? Because I know you guys have a great team culture and environment while still holding structure and accountability. Because I feel like that's where a lot of people really struggle.
We do have a great structure. So with Chandra, her vision is what my job is to keep dear to me so that I can execute it with the team so that she is not stressed and overwhelmed with operational things, because it's not an easy business. I mean, a lot of people think it's, glory and it's making people feel good and all of that, but all the stuff that goes along with that, because basically we're providing a safe place for those who are passionate about their trade and allow them to grow. So in order for them to grow, you have to have structure, and that's my role. We have to remind them what their goals are, on a weekly basis, instead of just focusing on week to week. Oh, I made this much this week, and oh, I'm going to be short. I'm not making enough money. If they have to have weekly goals, if I'm not talking to them about that on a weekly basis and documenting it where they can see it on their station, um, they will lose sight of that. So if everybody focuses on their goals, whether they reach them or not, it being in the first and foremost, looking at it every day, and then me helping coach them with grace, and maybe where they fall short a little bit. Oh, you missed that opportunity, not in a bad way, but just, hey, this is what I noticed, to help, because in the end, it's to help them grow. If they grow, we grow. And that's the thing that is hard, not being like a manager boss, like, and pointing out everything that's wrong. Let's point out what's right and what's good, and then coach to that. So we do that every week. And that, I think, when we don't do it, things start getting a little weird. Everybody gets relaxed. And at the end of the day, everybody's got to make a living. And if you don't pay attention to that road or that path that's set out before you, you'll never get there. So that to me is doing it with grace and with ease and with heart, and not like, oh my God, we didn't reach our goals. Well, you know what? We didn't reach it this week, but what let's look at see what we can do differently this week coming up. So that's kind of my take on it, but it takes attention. Like you have, and it has to be personalized. It has to be individualized. It can't be um, the same for everybody. It's because everyone's different. They operate different, so, but the structure of it needs to be the same. Like we're looking at the same things for everyone, not just like picking on somebody. It's all the same.
Yeah. One of the things that I love is that you say grace a lot, which I think that's so important. We always seem to look at managers as these meanies, right? Like they have to be these meanies when in reality they don't. But at times you do have to have tough conversations or team challenges do come up. So what is your personal approach to communicating through those types of issues and times?
My personal approach would be definitely marinating it before I approach it, unless it's something highly critical that you just have to like go in there and take care of it. But try to do it privately, and they may talk about it afterwards, with team members or whatever. But the key to that is that I have their best interest at heart. Okay. And in doing so and treating them with respect, um, getting their take on the situation first before I insert what I perceive it to be, because my perception can be totally different than what they perceive it to be. So, in together, kind of coming to an answer or a way of saying, "Hey, let's not do that," But you can be firm, but with people and direct. I don't think you have to, raise your voice or elevate or swear or anything like that. It's just like, this is how it is. This is the structure. Need you to get it together. Sometimes you have to put time limits around that. Sometimes you have to put it in writing. And that's probably the hardest thing, because that's like such an alert or alarm bell to someone when you're putting something in writing, when they know that you care so much about them. And then when you put it in writing, it's like sometimes they take it offense to that. But it's really, hey, this is a wake up. Let's do this. And then just forget about it. And then, hold accountability to it and move on. And generally, most of the time when that happens, it's always a great outcome. So, but it's just privately, and unless it's some kind of crazy something, that you're dealing with on the floor, an outburst or something, which can happen. But that's been very few times in my whole career that I've ever had to do that.
Yeah. I love that. I think a lot of times, owners or people in general, they think that accountability means that we are just being firm all the time. In my opinion, and I know Chandra as well, we talk about this constantly. Accountability is caring. That is showing that you care about people. And I think more
Yes.
owners need to understand that, because that's how you build the type of culture that you guys have at the studio. And that's really, really important. What do you feel are some of the systems or tools or routines that really, really help you keep the salon running smoothly?
Definite routine is the stylists themselves know that I'm available 24/7. So anything whatsoever that happens in their life that's going to affect them serving their clients, um, first and foremost, I mean, that's the front of the house. That's what's bringing our money in. And so taking care of the stylist in that way and them not feel bad about having to reach out. But that's one of our structures is like, I mean, to me, I look at it as a physician's office. Like you got patients calling, with issues, and someone dies during the night, and, all kinds of weird things happen. So once that is taken care of, then they trust that I take care of them that way. Then the guest, that translates over to the guest also, because they're communicating with us and they get answers as soon as possible, quickly. So taking care of both of them. The structure, as far as operationally, we have routine, those routine things like they come in 15 minutes, at least 15 minutes before their services, the stylists do. Most of them are there a half hour early, sometimes even more than that. to set up and just get acclimated with the day. And then we do our huddle at 9:45. Even if stylists come in earlier, we still try to pause to do that. And that structure right there sets us up for the day because everybody has awareness. Then we take that piece of paper that has all that information on, we put it in the back room so the stylists who are coming in later, they can see what's transpiring for the day, not necessarily having to look at the book themselves. And then coming in and checking in with us and with the front end. And for us, routinely, I'm very active on the floor. When Chandra's in, our owner, she's active also, but she's in the office working on business, taking care of things so that if I have to bring something to her, I know that I can, or I bring it to her after I've already handled it most of the time so that she is not overloaded with those types of things. We have structure. Our days of the week a bit of business are the same. Our clients know that. We post a lot about it. We do communicate. We do social media. So there's a good structure there that keeps everything kind of rolling so that we don't get stale.
I love that. I think that's super, super important. One of the things that I think people get misconstrued quite frequently is they think that management is just about holding rules and keeping those rules in place. Something that I find really, really important is that when you have a manager in place, they need to coach, they need to lead, they need to guide the way that you do. I think that is so admirable. What is one mistake or one lesson that you've learned early on that really shifted how you lead the team at Ohana today?
Probably one of the things that it happened not too long ago, actually, is we had a client who was outbursting, in the salon. And it was creating havoc to the guests around, to the stylist who was trying to deal with it. And then I had to go in and intervene in that process. And that was probably difficult because I could usually calm anybody down or, get the situation to make good on it. But this one was one of those times that it wasn't happening. And that was a learning experience because I could have handled that differently. But I was being protective of everybody around, as well as trying to get the guests to realize that we are going to take care of you. And she wasn't having it. She just was off. She off the rails. And so that troubled me for a while. Honestly, I had to think like, what could I have done differently? And it came out that there really wasn't nothing I could have done differently other than to protect the team and the clients that were around. And then once that was over, the clients, came over and said, "Hey, I am so sorry that happened. You dealt with that well." That's the most difficult, I think, is when you can't get through to somebody that, "Hey, I want to take care of you. We want to take care of you." But once they're over the edge, all you can do is hope and pray that you can get her out the door as soon as possible,
Right.
And in hindsight, there was a bad review that came from that. And I've never had a bad review in my 30 plus years in public like that. So that was hard to handle. But at the end of the day, we all knew we did our best. So, and I hope we don't have that happen again. But, in today's world, it's there.
I mean, when we deal with people every day, you never know what you're going to get,
Yeah.
right? And I think
Yeah.
that you, as that role model, you showed your team that, hey, this is, the best that I could do. I even looked to see what I could have done differently, and I think we handled it well. So I think that's pretty amazing. As a manager, you kind of have to be the advocate for both the team and the salon owner. So sometimes you're kind of caught in the middle. Have you ever felt like you're kind of caught between the owner and the team? And if you have, which I'm sure you have, because most managers do, how do you handle that?
I definitely, not so much in the salon environment. I mean, it goes back to the leadership and the ownership of the business. If I feel like I'm caught in the middle, I do not have a challenge whatsoever of sharing that with the Chandra and saying, "Hey, this is how I'm feeling about it. This is how they're feeling about it. This is how I feel you feel about it." considering all things and not just be one-sided. It's being open-minded and patient, honestly, and not constantly on the reactive side, just trying to, because we all have the same goal. We get up in the morning and we want everything to be just a great day, but there is times where you are in the middle. And when I am in the middle, I will lean, depending on the situation. It's more than likely a structure, a policy issue that possibly may have not been executed the way that it should, that made that happen. So in looking at that, it's generally something maybe that I didn't do properly or didn't pay enough attention to that created that being in the middle, and then having to look at it and saying, okay, from the business side of things, this is best for the business, this is best for the employee or the stylist, and pull myself out of it so that, you know what I mean? Like it has to be what's going to be best for the business, what's best for the stylist, because it should be the same. The end result should be the same. And if it's not, then that's a whole nother issue. But I feel that it's most of the time it's because something wasn't executed properly or overlooked, or I let it slide. I let something slide, or Chandra let something slide, and it created a situation where I went in to execute,
right,
the structure, and it was well, she didn't say anything, that kind of thing. So, and honestly, most of the time it's would be requests for time off, dress code, that keeping your station clean, like, just minor things like that. But the structure, you can't just open your doors and have stylists doing their own thing. That's where people get into trouble, especially if the owner is a stylist behind the chair trying to make everything work. It just doesn't. It doesn't. If you want to be successful, you have to have separation. You have to have leadership. It doesn't mean you have to have layers and layers of leadership, but you have to have leadership with policies and structure when you're dealing with people. You just have to. And when you're serving the public like we do, if you don't have it, it leaves so many things open for failure, and then you don't make money, and then business closes, or you have salon hoppers and all of that kind of thing.
100%. It's just like an avalanche. We preach systems and structure all the time because that's what happens. And I think you just brought up something really, really important. We do deal with a lot of salon owners who are still behind the chair. They are service providers 90% of the time, business owners 10% of the time. They are wanting to get out from behind the chair. They know that they need that in order to grow their business. And so that's what we actually coach. What would you say to the owner out there who knows, like they know without a shadow of a doubt that they need to hire a manager, but they are really, really scared to start letting go of things in their business?
Oh yeah. I mean, I got to witness that with Chandra, because when I came on, we were in COVID. And so the structure was a lot different then.
Oh yeah, I was coaching her through that time. I remember it well.
Yeah. And I mean, she was, double, triple booked, and then trying to keep track of 10 stylists and all this craziness. And pricing structure was different. That's the other thing. You have an owner who has different pricing structure, and then you have your stylist that you're growing at pricing structure. And then that owner decides to step from behind the chair and then try to maintain those clients to other stylists in the salon who may have higher pricing, and then trying to marry that. And we did keep most of our guests that way. So what she did is it was baby steps, truly baby steps. I didn't come in to be a manager. She didn't have a manager at that time, but it just kind of evolved into that. And so one day she would cut back one day, then she started cutting back another day.
Yeah.
And then finally it's like, you got to have a hard set date when you're going to step from behind the chair, because you end up in a situation where the salon owner who is behind the chair can't say no to those clients that they helped her build that business. So they get really caught. So you just have to have a hard firm state and a date, and just say, this is when I'm stepping behind the chair, and then start working with developing that manager with the way you want your business to be structured. And then you can't really look at how you want your business to be structured until you take that time to see how it truly and really is operating, from inventory to how, we're using product, the waste, all of those things. Um, you have to step away, and it is a hard decision, and I understand it. I was behind the chair for almost 7 years, and I went into education, and I didn't own anything, but I owned my clients. Like, I loved my clients. I had the best. And when I had to make that decision, it was tough, let alone being an owner who's cultivated, you know 20 years of clients, and now you're going to tell them I'm going to step aside. That's tough. So I think it's baby steps. I don't think you can do hardcore cold, because that will hurt the business. That will offend the people that have supported you. So you have to nurture them and let them know they'll be taken care of as you do that. And then the chances of maintaining them are far greater, to keep in your business. Because you figure an owner's probably bring in $200,000 of revenue in a year, you can't let that go. You have to nurture that out. So, and into the other stylists, and it makes them feel good. The stylists feel good, like, oh my God, the owners wants, recommended me to do their clients. It's a win-win, but it's got to be baby steps.
I agree with that. I remember going through that whole process with Chandra. I was on the opposite end that you were, and I was trying to, coach her through it. Now she swears up and down it's the best decision she ever made, and I know it is. Her business has grown tenfold because of it. I think you are proof, though, to owners out there that they can let go. They can let go of their business and trust someone to come in and care for it the way that they do. So props to you, because that's amazing.
And you hit it straight up. It's trust. You got to be able to trust to let others do. They may not do it the same. They may not answer the same. They may not execute the same, but they do love the business as much as you do. And they will do their best to do what's right.
I agree. I agree 100%. What do you wish every single salon or spa owner out there knew before hiring their first manager? I think this is a really important question.
I think in hiring a manager, I've done both, or and hired both, where I've hired someone from outside of the business into the business in a leadership role, and that didn't work. It just didn't work. They didn't have the compassion um, for the guests, didn't have the compassion for the stylist. Like, they were so tied up in rules. Okay. So to me, a manager has to be both. I feel they do need to be in some way tied into the beauty industry, whether it's, working from a beauty store or whatever. But the best managers I feel are hairdressers who, or they've grew up in a salon with their families. You got to have a backbone to understand the business. Um, but I would say it's very difficult to just bring someone from the outside. It would be rare for that to work. I mean, they could be the smartest with numbers. They could all that business side of it, but if they don't have that nurturing care for making others feel good about their appearance and the way they look was what that business is about, then it's just going to be hardcore. That's been my experience. I think you have to find somebody that has heart, and it's hard to hire right now. Like, I mean, we've been interviewing people for just assistants and proteges, and the work ethic is not as strong as it could be. And the people skills aren't, because of they're on the phone texting all the time or looking, and they're not developing, I guess, is the way. When we got into industry, we were like, man, hardcore, let's go, do. And we didn't have those skills, but we had the passion. So it's hard to find passionate people, whether it be a stylist or a manager or assistant manager. It can't just be role driven. That's why I think that it needs to be somebody that's come from the business in some way, shape, or form. That's what I would share. I've done it. I've tried it. It was not successful.
No, I think that's a great tip and it gives people a pull to look into, right? And so I think that's
Yeah.
really, really important. One of the things that we come across as we are coaching salon owners as they start hiring their managers a lot of times is they tell their manager, I want you to lead, I want you to coach, I want you to guide. However, the owner tends to step back in and kind of do it for the manager. So, what's one thing you think an owner should stop doing if they really, really want their manager to actually lead the team?
I think the communication between that manager and that salon owner is crucial.
Yeah.
And the salon owner needs to be available to that manager um, just about 24/7 also uh, to make sure that your manager is not going to get disheartened, like feel like they are caught in the middle, maybe because that's what happens is when those situations happen. That manager gets caught in the middle. Even the owner may not have wanted to be that way, but they get caught in the middle, and then they begin to hold back and not communicate with the salon owner because their feelings or whatever it may be or the situation was not you know maybe handled the way that they would have done it or would have. So I always think in rare instances, if the owner allows that manager to work within that structure, if I question something, I'm going to talk to her like right now. Or this is what I did. I hope, this is okay with you. But sometimes, I mean, I would expect if I was an owner and I saw something and I stepped in, it's the way in which it's done, I think is what it comes down to. It's just the way it would. And if she does something, she'll tell me about it. So I think the key to all of it is just communication and respect and trust. It goes down to those three things.
I agree with that 100%. One of the biggest mistakes that I tend to see a lot of owners make is they have team meetings with their team, the owner, the team, including the management, but they never have actual meetings with just management and ownership. And I think that is doing a huge disservice to your business if you don't do that.
I agree. And we've kind of gone through that a little bit ourselves. We're definitely not perfect by no means, but um it seems that we do better when just that management team is isolated and can freely open and talk about. And the leadership that usually includes our education team too.
Right.
We all have to be on the same page to support each other. So but when we do that, I think there's higher success. But we do have the team meetings, we do the huddles, but that piece ourselves, we're just getting ready to get back into that because we kind of stepped away. And things were going good. We necessarily, because of the way we operate and communicate, it wasn't necessary, but now it's necessary because we need to plan into the next year. So too, because here we are, it's July and we need to be into 2026 already, and so yes, I think that's crucial. It doesn't have to happen all the time, but I think quarterly, yes. Um, have that big quarterly one, Um, I think that's crucial. Yes.
It is. It's just a different type of meeting. You're talking about different things, you're discussing different options. I always try to tell Chandra this, or when I was coaching her, I would tell her this, you're on a different wavelength when you're with your leadership team than you are with your team. And you have to be able to switch those hats from owner to leadership team to your regular team. So I think it's really, really important.
That leadership team, quite honestly, they're looking at every bit of the business with the owner at that point. And that's where a lot of problem solving takes place, no matter how small or large it is. It comes out of that core group. And once everybody's in agreement about it or disagreement about it, we do it or we don't do it, but we're all held accountable to it once we decide to do it.
100%. One of the things that owners push back on quite a bit is getting their management or leadership team involved in the business side of things, and they don't realize how vitally important that is. They need to be able to
Yes.
see those numbers. We don't have to gatekeep and hide us owners don't have to do that. That's the way of the past. That's not the way it works anymore. And it's not the way you grow your business. When I was stuck at my $300,000 a year numbers where I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, didn't have a life, and I finally decided to be a business owner and run and went from 1.2 to $2.5 million, I got everybody involved. I was transparent with the majority of things going on in my business, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made.
Yeah. And I can say that's witnessing and seeing all kinds of, and I've worked for 3 family businesses in the industry. I've not worked corporate, but the one thing that all 3 of those businesses was very transparent. And that's why we were successful. And that's what enabled me to be a good leader, is because there was freedom in that.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't say that, you can't do that, they can't know this. No, they need to know those things, and so that they also are taking ownership of the success of the business, because they don't know those things unless you talk to them about it. They just know their 5-foot space behind their chair and what they're creating. They don't know all those other little intricate things that add up to be big things. So transparency is crucial.
Yep, I agree with you 100%. All right, before I let you go, I want you to give some last words of wisdom to every salon owner out there and to every salon or spa manager out there.
Oh my God, wisdom. Still learning about wisdom for sure.
I think you're full of wisdom, so I want to hear it.
Embracing what you've chosen to do, embracing that, nurturing it, nurturing the people around you, because you've been given privilege to coach and help others make a living, enjoy it, make a difference, because that's what we do. Image is everything to most people, and embracing those around you and not being judgmental of where they are in their professional life. Just help coach them, coach your team around you. But if you've got to love it, you have to love what we do. If you don't love it and you don't love to be around people, touch people, talk to people, learn about people, you're in the wrong business. This is very intimate. If you think about it, we're hair music like physicians, like we are given permission to get into people's space. When you get into people's space, you learn things about people and yourself. And if you are nurturing that and warming to that, only success will come, because people want that in life. Most people want that. And if you can give that in the world we live in today, as a manager, an owner, and a stylist, an esthetician, and have genuine caring, there's nothing going to stop you. There's nothing that can stop you, but you have to hire smart. You have to hire smart. You can't hire for a warm body. That would probably be my other side. Don't hire for a warm body. You have to hire smart, and it's tough. It's tough, but I think people have to love what they do, or it's just going to be so short term and it's going to create havoc in your business.
100%. I love that. Girl, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course. I feel like you were so helpful and really honest with people. And I think that you kind of pulled back that curtain a little bit on what this role actually looks like. And I know there's going to be owners out there listening right now thinking, okay, maybe I don't have to do it all forever, which is the purpose of this, right? You gave people permission to think bigger and to lead smarter. So for that, I just want to thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, guys, that was so good. So very good. And I hope that you guys got a ton of value out of it. And honestly, if you're listening right now and you're thinking, yep, I am still doing everything by myself, this is a wake-up call for you. You are never going to earn a badge for doing it all alone. You're just not. It's not going to happen. You may think that it feels good, but it's not going to earn you anything but burnout and exhaustion. You deserve a business that supports you back. And the right leadership structure, that is how it all starts. That's how it all starts. It's how it all begins. And it is an important piece that you need to have in your business. All right, before we wrap up, let's get into this week's listener question. This one came from Marie in Palestine, Texas. Marie actually asked this during one of our BBA live sessions, which we host every single month on Facebook and YouTube. If you've got a question that you want answered, make sure that you join us on the first Monday of every month at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. It is your chance to interact with us live and get your answers in real time. So Marie's question is, I am about to hire my first manager. What should I actually hand off and what should I keep? All right, Marie. So before you delegate anything at all, you have to make sure that you are setting whomever you are delegating things to up to succeed. That is so important. That means you have to make sure that you have very, very clear systems, strong, and I mean strong, stellar onboarding and training, and you need expectations in writing. It can't be this casual, hey, can you take this over? Or hey, starting today, you're going to be doing this. If you want them to lead and to lead well, you have to hand them a structure that actually works. So if you don't have that yet, pause for just a second, build it first or get help building it, and then look at bringing somebody in to manage or to lead. This is really the biggest difference between growing with freedom or getting sucked right back into the chaos and then getting resentful and frustrated in every way, shape, or form. It's very important. Once you do have this structure, you can start handing off some of the day-to-day operations, the scheduling, the inventory, the team check-ins, the huddles, making sure that protocols are being followed. That's their lane. That's what the manager is there for, or the lead is there for. But it's really, really important to remember that as the owner, you are still responsible for driving the vision. You are there to protect the brand and the direction of the business. A great manager keeps the machine running, right? They keep that machine running, but you have to make sure as the owner that it's worth running. So I hope that answers your question. Let me just say this. Great managers don't walk in and magically fix everything. That is never going to happen. I don't care how educated they are. I don't care about any of that. If you are expecting someone to come in and save your salon while you are still winging it behind the scenes, it's never going to happen. Managers are never going to be able to replace structure. Managers run the structure that you've created. If you want them to lead well, you've got to build the foundation and a good foundation that they can stand on. That is where everything starts to shift. When you, the owner, stop being the bottleneck, when you build those systems, when you build the kind of team that lifts the weight with you, right, that helps you carry it, that is when you start getting your time and your freedom back as the owner. That is when you start to see profit. That's when you go from constantly putting out fires to finally building something that lasts, the legacy that you wanted to build from the beginning. And if you are ready to build that stuff, we are here to help. Head over to www.thebeautybizagency.com, check out some of our coaching options, grab some of our amazing free resources, or dive into our training on how to build this out the right way. This is the way that you can grow, lead, and finally start to breathe again. That's what I've got for you guys today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Make sure that you subscribe, leave us a review, and share this episode with a salon owner who needs to hear it. This is the only way that we are going to change this industry one salon at a time. And hey, don't forget to come hang out with us live on the first Monday of every month. We host our BBA live on Facebook and YouTube. It is where we break down real strategies and systems that are going to help you lead stronger, grow smarter, and run a business that doesn't run you into the ground. That should make a lot of you really, really happy. Plus, you can get your questions answered in real time. So you're not just watching, you're actually in the conversation with us. You can also connect with us anytime on Facebook and Instagram at the Beauty Biz Agency, or you can join us on TikTok at Beauty Biz Mentors, where we give you some quick, straight to the point tips that we try to post on there daily. That's what I've got, guys. You've been listening to the station, where beauty pros become powerful CEOs. Until next time, lead like it matters, build like it lasts, and don't settle for anything less than real freedom and real profit. Now go out there, make bank, run the show, and ditch that chair. And as always, keep slaying those business goals with a whole lot of swagger.